Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, US and UK launch fresh strikes on Houthis in Yemen. India and Nigeria sign agreements to bolster cooperation in energy, healthcare, mobility and consular cooperation. And Indian diaspora worldwide celebrate consecration of Ram Lalla in the Indian holy city of Ayodhya. The United States and the United Kingdom conducted further strikes against Yemen's Houthis. Bright orange flashes from explosions were seen in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, in the early hours on Tuesday morning. The Pentagon said the latest strikes targeted a Houthi underground storage site, as well as missile and surveillance capabilities. British Defence Ministry also released a footage of its aircraft taking off from an unidentified location. The ministry said precision-guided bombs were used to strike multiple targets near the Sana'a airfield. The Houthis control the most populous parts of Yemen and said their attacks are in solidarity with the Palestinians. The Houthis' attacks have disrupted global shipping and stoked fears of global inflation. They have also deepened concern that fallout from Israel-Hamas war could destabilize the Middle East. The United States on Monday called for Israel to protect innocent people after Israeli forces stormed one hospital in Gaza. Israeli troops moved for the first time into Al-Mawasi district near the Mediterranean coast, west of Khan Yunis. Forces stormed Al-Khair hospital and arrested medical staff in the main city in southern Gaza. White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby on Monday said that Israel had a right to defend itself, but added that US expects them to do so in accordance with international law.
We don't want to see hospitals as war zones. We don't want to see hospitals as battlefields. They should be as protected as possible. That said, we know that Hamas deliberately uses places like hospitals to store weapons, house their fighters, even to some degree for command and control. And so that places a special need on the Israeli Defense Forces, but also a special burden on how they approach any fighting in or around hospitals. They have a right to defend themselves. They have a right to go after these leaders. They have a right to take away the ability for Hamas to store and resource themselves, even if that is in hospitals. But again, I would say the same thing that we've said before on this issue, that we expect them to do so in accordance with international law and to protect innocent people in hospitals, medical staff and patients as well, as much as possible.
In Brussels on Monday, Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz sidestepped the discussion of a two-state solution at a meeting with European Union counterparts. Israel has pushed back against calls for a Palestinian state, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday reaffirmed a hard line, saying any Palestinian state would pose an existential danger to Israel. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell has circulated a discussion paper with a roadmap to peace that calls for a preparatory peace conference organized by the EU and Arab nations. The US and UN were also invited to be conveners. Israel has proposed a multi-phase deal to Hamas, suggesting up to a 2-month pause in the fighting. The proposal, through Qatari and Egyptian mediators, includes release of all hostages held in Gaza. According to Israeli officials, more than 130 hostages are still being held in Gaza. Neither Israel, Qatar nor Egypt has confirmed this development so far. Reports about the progress in peace talks come as US President Joe Biden's advisor, Brett McGurk, traveled to West Asia. Former US President Donald Trump remains the clear front-runner as voting gets underway in the New Hampshire primary. The northeastern state is the second to vote, in which Republicans should lead the party to challenge Joe Biden in November's election. Nick Harper gets us the details from Manchester, New Hampshire.
Well, here in New Hampshire, we'll see voting throughout the day on Tuesday. polling stations throughout the state opened for Republicans to cast their vote to say which person they want leading the party in November's election and challenging the Democratic president, Joe Biden. It has now come down to a two-candidate race. Donald Trump, the former president, versus his UN ambassador, Nikki Haley. That's because another candidate, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, pulled out on Sunday saying he sees no path forward to victory. His polling numbers were very low here in New Hampshire. Perhaps just 4 or 5% of the state was expected to vote for him. In terms of the polling for the other two candidates, we still see Donald Trump way ahead, potentially anywhere between 11 to 19% ahead of Nikki Haley. Now, she needs to show that she is an alternative to Donald Trump, that she can present a different vision for the country, one that is different to Donald Trump's. And she's hoping that the moderate independent voters in this state could give her a win. She knows she needs to cause an upset by winning here or coming in a very strong second. We were at a rally that she had in the city of Exeter, New Hampshire, and she seemed to appeal to the younger, college-educated voters, many of her messages seeming to resonate with them. But this is perhaps her last best shot at showing that she can become the Republican nominee. A big win for Donald Trump may make it hard for Nikki Haley to hang on in the race. Although she is saying no matter what happens here in New Hampshire, she intends to compete in the next few state-by-state primaries, one in Nevada and then one in South Carolina in just over a month's time. She's hoping to do well there as she is the former governor of that state. But it will all depend on what the results are here in New Hampshire on Tuesday evening. Nick Harper in Manchester, New Hampshire, reporting for DD India.
To further support his father, Donald Trump Jr. campaigned in Hawley's, New Hampshire on Monday. New Hampshire presidential primary election is due to take place on Tuesday. Trump said the U.S. went from a country with peace, growing wages and low gas to the antithesis. In a speech, Trump Jr. mocked Republican candidate Nikki Haley. The winner of the nomination is expected to face President Joe Biden in November. U.S. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris took aim at Republican curbs on abortion rights, an issue for Democrats that they hope will attract independent voters and increase turnout in November. Republicans have issued restrictive abortion laws in nearly 24 states since the Supreme Court reversal of abortion rights. In his address, Biden said women in America face a new cruel reality because of new laws curbing reproductive rights. Meanwhile, Harris, kicking off a national tour on abortion rights in the key battleground state of Wisconsin, blamed former U.S. President Donald Trump for helping reverse U.S. abortion rights.
Today, in 2024, in America, women are turned away from emergency rooms, forced to travel hundreds of miles to get basic health care in another state that may have a different rule, forced to go to court to plead for help. They turned a deeply private and painful matter into a public matter. And we need the American people to keep making their voices heard. That cruel reality is a result of extreme Republicans who for years have made it their mission to end the Roe v. Wade decision.
On the 51st anniversary of Roe, we speak of it in the past tense. In the last 19 months, in states across our nation, extremists have proposed and passed laws that criminalize doctors and punish women. The former president handpicked 3 Supreme Court justices because he intended for them to overturn Roe. He intended for them to take your freedoms. And it is a decision he brags about.
Yes, he does. The U.S. Supreme Court agreed temporarily to let U.S. Border Patrol agents cut or remove razor wire fencing that Texas officials placed along a part of the Republican-governed state's border with Mexico to deter illegal border crossings. The justice granted a request by President Joe Biden's administration to pause a lower court's ruling that temporarily blocked federal agents from disturbing the fencing. The U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which issued the disputed interim ruling, is set to hear arguments on February 7th over whether Border Patrol agents violated Texas law by cutting the razor wire barrier. President of Bolivia, Luis Arce, warned of a new right seeking to destabilize the country and support a conservative and colonial ideas. During a ceremony to mark the 15th anniversary of the creation of plurinational state, the president also rejected an attempted road blockade by protesters. The protesters and supporters of former President Evo Morales took to the streets calling for judicial elections, which were due to be held last year. Arce and Morales have an internal dispute in the governing party that has deepened due to the former president's aspiration to be a candidate in the 2025 elections. The Turkish Parliament's General Assembly is set to debate Sweden's NATO membership bid on Tuesday. Voting will be held after more than a year of delay. The decision of voting comes after the Turkish Foreign Affairs Commission approved the country's bid for membership last month. In 2022, Sweden and Finland appeared for NATO membership. Finland joined the organization in April 2023, while Turkey refused to ratify Sweden's bid. Turkey and Hungary are the only NATO members yet to ratify Sweden's application. A powerful earthquake of 7.1 on the Richter scale jolted Kyrgyzstan Xinjiang border region on Tuesday. China's media reported 14 aftershocks following the primary earthquake, 2 of which measured above a magnitude of 5. Moreover, several injuries were also reported and various houses in the region collapsed. Meteorological Administration stated that the epicenter of the earthquake was Yukturpun County, where temperatures have plummeted, reaching lows of -18 degrees Celsius. In Almaty, the largest city in Kazakhstan, residents evacuated their homes, congregating outside in spite of the cold weather. The tremors, along with subsequent aftershocks occurring approximately 30 minutes later, were also experienced in Uzbekistan. Authorities have said that the rescue operation is underway in all the affected areas. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Monday co-chaired the 6th India-Nigeria Joint Commission meeting alongside his Nigerian counterpart, Yusuf Tugar. The two leaders noted the expansion of economic cooperation, especially trade and investment. Two sides agreed to strengthen people-to-people exchanges, mobility and consular cooperation. India and Nigeria also cooperate closely in multilateral forums and decide to take that tradition forward. Addressing the joint press statement after the conclusion of the JCM, Dr. S. Jaishankar said that both countries signed agreements in energy, power, renewables, transport, healthcare, fintech, agriculture and security.
Agreements we signed was on solar energy. So we will see much more cooperation in the field of green and clean growth. Secondly, Nigeria and India, we both face big health challenges. How do we make medicines, health facilities affordable and accessible? So that is also something we will be looking at. We discussed transportation. How can we work together on transportation, on other forms of energy, on security. On investments on technology of various kinds, we are even looking at how do we use digital technology for cashless payments between our two countries.
Earlier, Dr. S. Jaishankar addressed the India-Nigeria Business Forum organized by CII and NICCI. The visiting leader underlined that deepening economic partnership is the key to the expansion of ties. He also encouraged businesses to enhance their networking, identify regulatory and policy impediments, and utilize opportunities.
Today, I would just say if there are some big geopolitical bets that India is taking, one of the bets is on the rise of Africa. That we are betting that in the next decade, we're going to see an amazing transformation here. So whether it is opening new embassies, encouraging more trade and investment interactions, creating more opportunities for political contacts, getting the systems really to know each other more. That is very much our objective.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also visited the Indian High Commission in Abuja. He unveiled a bust of Mahatma Gandhi and planted a sapling in the High Commission premises. The minister thanked members of the Indian community for joining on the occasion. President of the 78th session of the UNGA, Denis Francis, arrived in New Delhi on Monday on a 5-day visit to India. He expressed delight to arrive in New Delhi on an auspicious day when the country was celebrating its second Diwali. During his visit, President Francis will hold talks with India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on key multilateral issues. He is also expected to hold discussions on peace, progress, prosperity and sustainability. Upon his arrival, the visiting dignitary paid respects to one of history's most transformative figures, Mahatma Gandhi. From Rajghat, his resting place, he echoed to the world his visionary quotes, and I quote, there is no way to peace, peace is the way. Up next, we're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Lord Ram Temple in Ayodhya opens doors for general public for darshan. Devotees participate in the first aarti after consecration ceremony. It's a January Diwali in India. Lights, firecrackers, sweets and chants of Jai Shri Ram mark the grand consecration ceremony in Ayodhya. Not just India, but devotees all over the world welcomed Lord Ram. Stay with us as we get you how people in Oxford celebrated Ram Lala's homecoming.
A world that never stops, where information shapes our reality. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights and authentic.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live and I'm Preeti. Let's get you more updates from India. The Ram Temple in the Indian holy city of Ayodhya was thrown open to the general public from Tuesday morning. The gates will be open to the public from 7 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Thousands of devotees are expected to visit the temple town daily for the darshan of Ram Lalla. Earlier in the day, the much-awaited Pran Pratishtha of Ram Lalla was held in Ayodhya, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi leading the rituals in the newly built temple. Prime Minister unveiled the idol of Lord Ram in the sanctum sanctorum at the temple. Diwali, the festival of light, came early for India as people across the country celebrated consecration of Ram Lalla in his birthplace at Ayodhya. Western Indian city of Ahmedabad celebrated the consecration of idol of Lord Ram by illuminating 10,000 lamps to mark the auspicious occasion. Grand celebrations were also held in the eastern India's Hubli as devotees commemorated Ram Temple Pran Pratishtha ceremony in Ayodhya. And the whole world is rejoicing in the happiness of Lord Ram's consecration. Indian diaspora around the globe celebrated Ram Lala's homecoming with great enthusiasm and devotion. In Australia, consecration of Lord Ram Temple in Ayodhya was broadcast at Sri Durga Temple in Melbourne. Consul General Dr. Sushil Kumar attended the celebration along with enthusiastic members of Indian diaspora, making it a truly vibrant and culturally significant celebration. In the Hindu Society at Oxford University and the Centre of Hindu Studies, University of Oxford, a special event was organised on the occasion. Students and members from various international communities joined in large numbers. The event included singing of devotional songs, Ram bhajans and holy chants. Students expressed joy and satisfaction regarding the construction of the temple in Ayodhya. Various temples and various community organizations across Canada organized events at various places to celebrate the consecration of Ram Lalla in Ayodhya on Monday. presenting visuals of the celebrations at the Regina of Saskatchewan province and those held at Winnipeg, Manitoba province, where devotees danced to devotional songs and the chants of Lord Ram. Indian diaspora celebrated this event with great fervor and enthusiasm. Indian community in Juba in South Sudan organized an event at the only Hindu temple in the country to celebrate the consecration of Ram Mandir at Ayodhya. Officials from Embassy of India in Juba also participated in the event. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. The full dress rehearsal of India's Republic Day celebrations will take place in New Delhi on Tuesday. Movement of vehicles is likely to be disrupted during the rehearsal. The Delhi police has announced traffic restrictions near Kartavya Path and advised the public to plan their journey accordingly. India's President Draupadi Murmu presented Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puraskar to the 19 children in New Delhi. President Murmu said this award ceremony is an opportunity to encourage the amazing potential and talent of young achievers. She appreciated children for their excellent work. A layer of fog grips India's national capital amidst the cold wave. Several flights were delayed at India's Indira Gandhi Airport due to low visibility amidst fog. Several trains bound for the national capital were also running behind schedule. The Indian Meteorological Department said minimum temperature in Delhi would be 7 degrees Celsius. A quick look at updates from the world of business now. The S&P 500 hit a record close for the second straight session on Monday as tech stocks added to recent gains and investors awaited upcoming corporate reports for clues on this year's profit outlook. The benchmark confirmed a bull market last week on Friday after posting a record high close for the first time in 2 years. The S&P 500 gained 10.62 points or 0.22% to end at 4,850.43 points, while Nasdaq Composite gained 49.32 points or 0.32% to 15,360.28. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 138.01 points or 0.36% to 38,001.
The S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average have hit all-time highs yet again. Unfortunately, what comes with that is excessive valuations, as the S&P 500 is now trading at a PE above 23. Now, that doesn't mean that the market can't or won't move higher. It just means that attractively valued stocks are going to be a little bit more difficult to find. And investors are now going to be a little bit more challenged to find growth opportunities, because I would make the argument that the majority of the gains that we were anticipating for 2024 may have been folded into the end of 2023 and the beginning stages of 2024.
Australia on Tuesday imposed cyber sanctions on a Russian man for his role in the breach at insurer Medibank. One of the country's biggest data thefts impacted about 10 million customers. Targeted financial sanctions and a travel ban have been imposed on Russian citizen Alexander Ermakov. This is the first time Australia has used its cyber sanctions framework since legislating it in 2021. On to sports now. The 2024 Australian Open Tennis Major is already in the quarterfinal stages in Melbourne. In men's quarterfinal tie, world number 1 Novak Djokovic will face a test against 12th-seeded Taylor Fritz of the US. Novak Djokovic is looking for a record-breaking 25th Grand Slam title. Spain's Wimbledon champion and second seed Carlos Alcaraz faces Olympic champion Alexander Zverev of Germany in arguably the pick of the last 8 ties. 4th and 5th seeds Yannick Sinner and Andrei Rublev are also pitted against each other, while the 4th quarterfinal sees Hubert Hurkacz take on Daniil Medvedev. In the women's quarterfinal tie, US Open champion Coco Gauff will be in action as the 4th seed will take on Ukraine's Marta Kostyuk in the first quarterfinal of the day. This will be followed by defending champion Aryna Sabalenka, who will take on Czech 9th seed Barbora Krejcikova. French police will be on high alert for the threats along the route of 2024 Olympic torch relay. The Olympic torch bearers will be protected by about 100 officers in a security bubble and anti-drone measures in place. The Olympic flame will arrive in Marseille from Greece on May 8th, with up to 150,000 people expected to attend the ceremony in the southern city's old port before the French leg of the relay begins. The flame will be lit on April 16th at a ceremony in Greece's ancient Olympia, birthplace of the Games. The torch will remain in Greece for about a week for a short relay before being handed over to the host city Paris and its departure for France. Some 18,000 police officers will be on duty in Paris when the torch goes through the city on July 14th and 15th, and on July 26th when the opening ceremony takes place. About 5,000 police will be on ground in Marseille when the torch arrives. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.